for the future. For today's class, you're going to need the standard usual equipment. That would be your pillow, couch cushion, some sort of padding up for the floor, a pair of matching yoga blocks, and a yoga belt of some sort. If you don't have a proper yoga belt, a bathrobe tie will do. If you don't have proper yoga blocks, a couple thick textbooks will do, just something to help you reach the floor, make it more accessible. And then in lieu of a couch cushion or a pillow, you can use a folded beach towel or a blanket of some sort. We're going to start standing up, and we're going to do some lower body deep mobility stretching work today, because I've started a new exercise strength training routine and my butt is sore. I figured it won't hurt to stretch you out as well. We're going to start with a great big inhale. Take your arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, press your breath out. Lower those arms down. Turn your palms forward. Take a shoulder shrug. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. Let's repeat. Inhale, take both arms up and overhead. And exhale down. Palms are forward for that shoulder shrug. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. Once again, inhale, both arms come all the way up and down. With palms turned forward, do that shoulder shrug again. Great big inhale up. And exhale back and down. Now I'm going to turn sideways so that you can see the lovely profile view on this one. And what you're going to do is stagger the feet. So kind of toes line up with the heel of one foot. So your feet are just staggered. Your knees are going to be unlocked. You're going to lift your chest up. And as you exhale, hinge forward from the hips. And as you hinge forward from the hips, the leg that's in front is straight and the leg that's behind is slightly bent. If you notice, I got one leg straight, one leg bent. And then inhale, come all the way up. You might already begin to start to feel that in your butt and in the hamstrings. And then as you exhale, hinge forward. And inhale, come on up. So moving slowly, breathing deeply. Exhale, hinging forward. Inhale, come on up. Think about feeling the breath lift you. And as you exhale, melting forward. So you kind of deflate as you come forward. And as you inflate, inhale, you lift up. Concentrate on the breath. Nice deep breaths. Complete exhale. And one more time. Exhale, coming on down. And inhale, come all the way up. You're going to shuffle switch. Put the other leg out in front. Again, lining up toe and heel. Not a big stagger, just a little one. Front leg will stay straight. Back leg will bend. Inhale to begin. And as you exhale, hinge forward from the hips. So let this be a breathing exercise. Yes, it's a hamstring stretch. Yes, it's a bit of a butt stretch. But think of it more in terms of a breathing thing. Let that inhale lift you up and that exhale melt you forward. And obviously I'm not counting, but I think that's about equal on both sides, just from the feel of it. And then come all the way back on up. Now you're going to need those blocks. Because we're going to alternate sides. You're going to back up towards the back edge of your mat, have those blocks in your hands. You're going to go for a little walk, and it's a very small walk. You're going to start with your feet staggered, again, one foot in front of the other. I don't care which one's in front. It can be the right or the left. The leg that's in front is straight. The leg that's behind is going to be bent. You're going to inhale, begin. And as you exhale, hinge forward. Use those blocks to help you reach the floor. And inhale, come all the way up. Put the other leg in front. And exhale, hinge forward. And inhale, come on up. A little walk here. And exhale, hinge forward. So the leg in front is straight. Leg behind is bent. And you're breathing. And you're walking that line, kind of like you're doing a sobriety field check. And this can be a bit wobbly, can be a bit of a balance challenge. So when you've sobriety field tested all the way to the end of your mat, and then coming all the way back up, and you haven't fallen over, good luck, good form. You're going to turn around and we'll just walk the other way. And you might continue or consider turning your blocks down. If you're able to reach the floor easily, take it to the next level with lower level bricks. So a bit of a balance challenge here. If you are walking that tightrope, it is more of a challenge. So if you're putting one foot directly in front of the other, definitely much more challenging. It is easier if you stay on two separate skis. It is easier if you let there be a little side to side width between your feet. Again, leg in front is straight, leg behind is bent. Depending on what size shoe you wear, how slowly you're breathing, you might find yourself once again at the back edge of your mat. Now turn around, third time's a charm. This third time you might go to the lowest level on your bricks or get rid of the bricks altogether, but you do want your hands touching something. Hands touch something, just for balance. And then you come on up. And exhaling. And inhaling. And exhaling. And inhaling. Just breathing. And if you're like me, you've arrived at the very front edge of your mat. And from the very front edge of your mat, you're going to take a giant step back with your right foot and go nice and long, nice long lunge. Find those blocks. If you accidentally, or if you ditched them earlier, grab them. Have them available for you. Nice long lunge, pressing hard through that back heel. And breathing. You can wiggle the front foot a little bit wider to the side for better balance. Don't be shy about using those blocks. Pressing hard through that back heel. Then you're going to bend the back knee. Touch the back knee down for just a split second, and then lift it back up. Press hard through the back heel. Again, bend that back knee, touch down, and then lift up and press back. Good morning, calves. So you're bending and straightening that back knee, touching down, lifting up, pressing hard through that back heel. Touch down, lift up, press back. Again, you're using blocks underneath your hands so that you can balance. And you want enough height underneath those hands so that your shoulders are level. Both shoulders are equal height from the floor. And again, I'm terrible about counting. I'll never be a aerobics instructor, but I think we've probably done 8 or so here. And on this final one, you're just going to hold, press hard through that back heel. Shifting forward, shifting backward, shifting forward, stepping back, switching sides. Big long lunge. So measuring out that big long lunge, using enough blocks underneath your hands, maybe hopping that front foot a little bit wider for balance sake. And then you're going to bend, touch down, and lift up. Press back hard. Bending and lifting and pressing. Don't cheat yourself out of a stretch here. So make sure you touch down, lift up, and then press hard back through that heel before you repeat. And then one final time, lift up, press hard through that back heel. Whew. Good morning, tight, tight legs. And breathe. And shift forward, shift backward, shift forward, shift backward, shift forward, step forward. Find yourself in that forward fold. Put a bend in your knees, transfer your hands up onto your lap, and then come all the way on up to standing. Finish with a good shoulder shrug up, back and down. Palms are forward. Good morning. Let's repeat. Shoulder shrug. Inhale up. Exhale back and down again. Great big shoulder shrug. Great big yawn. Inhaling up. And exhale back and down. Again, I'm turning sideways. You're probably better off looking at the screen for this one. I just wanted to show you that I'm staggering my feet. I've got one foot in front, one foot behind. I'm up on the toes of that back foot. Arms out in front. We're going to inhale. And as I exhale, I'm going to drive that back knee forward, give it a hug. Just balancing. Bring that knee in tight, close to the chest. The more you pull that tummy in, the more you can thrust your hips forward, begin to lean backward. Again, challenging your balance this morning. Standing knee is soft. Pulling in that tummy, driving those hips forward, leaning back a little bit. Looking forward at something that's not moving. Breathing. And then touch down. Same side, same leg. Inhale. And as you exhale, drive that knee forward, give it a hug. Balancing. Hips thrust forward, belly pulls backward. Maybe you lean back as you hug that knee in tight, close to your chest. And touch down. All right, let's do the other side. So stagger the legs. You give yourself a little side to side width. It does help with balance. Get ready to inhale. And as you exhale, drive that knee into your chest. Hold on to it. Knee comes in tight, close to your chest. Belly pulls back into your body and your hips thrust forward. Standing knee is unlocked. So slightly bent, that standing knee. And release, touchdown. And exhale, drive it in. Give it a good hug. And release. All right. Once again, you're at the very front edge of your mat. Shoulders are back and down. Chest is lifted. You're going to stagger the legs for just a moment because one more time, you're going to drive that right knee into your chest. Pull it in nice and tight. Maybe lean back a little bit. And breathe. I'm going to flex this foot. So it's not pointed. It is flexed. Because I'm here with that belly pulled in tight, I'm going to hinge forward and begin to push that foot flat back behind and kicking a hole in the wall behind. Airplane arms for balance. And breathe. Standing knee is unlocked. And then touch down. Step forward. Stagger the legs for just a moment. Get ready. We're going to drive that left leg forward. Inhale. And as you exhale, drive that left knee forward. Get skinny, get strong. Maybe lean back a little bit. Just opening up the hip flexor, front of the standing leg here. Foot is flexed flat, belly pulled in nice and tight as you begin to hinge forward. We stretch this hamstring a little bit, so hopefully hinging forward isn't too much of a challenge. And then push that left foot flat against a wall behind you. Airplane arms for balance. And then touching down. Oh, that's so good. Let's repeat. So once again, front edge of the mat. Knee is unlocked. That's your right foot behind you. Get ready to inhale. And as you exhale, drive that right knee into your chest. Give it a good hug. Maybe lean back a little bit. Belly pulled in and up, nice and tight. Foot flex flat. Hinging forward. Extending. Airplane. Breathing. It does help to push your palms down against some imaginary fire hydrants. It helps you pull your belly up, helps you to maintain balance. So push your palms flat down against some imaginary fire hydrants. Standing knee is going to soften, and you're going to touch down with a giant step back, and then V for victory arms. That back heel is stretching straight back behind you. Belly pulled in nice and tight. And people call this one crescent lunge. Now here's the challenge. Can you take this front foot, maybe wiggle it a little bit wider? Find that belly, make sure it's nice and strong. And as you inhale, prepare. As you exhale, take a giant step forward and drive that knee back up into your chest. One fell swoop, perhaps. And then you get to set that right foot down. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Stagger that left foot behind. Prepare with an inhale. And as you exhale, drive that left knee into your chest. Give it a hug. Hips thrust forward. Perhaps you lean back a bit. Opening up that right hip flexor. Foot flex is flat. Belly pulled in. Your challenge is to keep this distance between belly and thigh. As you hinge forward, yeah, I know belly's moving closer to thigh, but keep that belly lifted up off your thigh. As you kick back and go for an airplane ride. And breathe. Balancing. Standing knee bends, you touch down. V for victory. Back heel wiggles back. Pressing hard through that back heel. Breathing. Maybe wiggling the front foot a little bit wider, because your challenge will be to here, take one giant step forward, driving that left knee up into your chest. Prepare with an inhale. As you exhale, shift weight to that front foot and drive that back knee once more into your chest and balance. And you get to set that foot down. Big inhale, both arms come all the way up. Try not to kick your mat. Big inhale, both arms come all the way up. And exhale down. I think I'm going to do this one facing the screen just to mess with you a little bit. Big inhale all the way up. And exhale. Good. Let me see if I can mirror you. You're going to be standing on that left foot, that right foot behind you a little bit. Arms up. And as you exhale, drive that knee into your chest. Balancing. Foot flexed. Third time's the charm. Hinging forward. Pushing back. Balancing. Standing knee softens as you touch down. Inhale, arms come up. I wanted to show you this angle so that you can see my feet are on two separate skis. This back heel presses straight back. You can even lift up onto the ball, that back foot, swing that back heel out to the side a little bit. Stretching that inner right heel straight back hard. Front knee can turn out, front toes can turn out. And breathe. We're going to come on down to the floor here. So hinging forward, finding your blocks along the way. Nice long lunge. We've been here before. If this is your left leg in front, you're going to take this left arm, sweep it up and open. So you're revolving, twisting towards the front knee. Depending on how tight you are, you might feel that in the hip. Now you got this top hand in the air. Imagine high-fiving somebody. So push that top hand against an imaginary friend and pull your belly up off your thigh. High-five that imaginary friend. Pull your belly up into your body. Hands come down to find the block. We're going to lower that back knee down to the floor. I wanted you to see this. Take this back knee, tuck the back knee in narrow. Take that back knee, squeeze it in like you got to pee. And then set the outer kneecap down. Good. Twist. And soften. So I've got that outer right kneecap touching down. And it can be kind of bony on the floor. So if you need to tuck a pillow underneath it, now's the time to tuck a pillow underneath it. Hands are finding the floor, hands are finding the block. You're going to take this front foot, wiggle it across. And whew, depending on how tight those hips are, going to work on putting that shin down and maybe picking the knee up and work on putting that shin down and maybe picking the knee up. Again, depending on how long your arms are, you might need blocks underneath your hands. Depends on how tight those hips are. Some of you are not feeling this at all, but I definitely am. Curtsy squats will do that to you. And then eventually you're working that shin down, working that knee down. And you're going to wiggle back into your pigeon pose. And just cry on the inside. So this is what the front view of that pigeon pose looks like. I want you to see that my foot is flexed. I've got that shin approaching the front edge of my mat. I'm doing my best to breathe here. Let me turn sideways real quick. You stay where you are. Just want you to see the side view on this one as well. So I got that back knee tucked in narrow. We're working on putting that shin, that knee down. My hips are flying high up off the ground because I am feeling tight today. And if you're like me and you've got a gap between your sit bone and the floor, you can fill that gap up with some blocks or pillow, whatever you have there. Tuck it in. And if some of you are very loosey-goosey and you can just pancake to the floor and you do you, nothing wrong with that. Keep breathing. Now that back knee was tucked in nice and narrow for a reason. And we did work on shifting your weight over into that right hand, lifting a hand up, twisting towards the front knee, twisting towards the bent knee so that you can reach back and circle around and reach back and circle around and reach back and circle around. And each time you reach back and circle around that back foot, it's a little bit easier to reach because eventually you're going to be able to circle around and reach back and maybe grab a hold of that foot. Do your best to breathe. You do want that sit bone on something. Keep breathing. And unwind. How about a downward facing dog? Oh. And pedal the feet, pressing down through one heel, then the other. Let those hips jog side to side. Just notice the difference in the two sides of your hips, how the backs of your legs feel. And you're going to walk that dog all the way back up to your hands. And again, along the way, you bring those blocks with you. And you once again find yourself at the very front edge of your mat. Hands transfer up onto your lap as you come all the way on up to standing. We got to do that same thing on the other side. Shoulders shrug up, back and down. Inhale, bring both arms up and overhead. And exhale, release. Second verse, same as the first. So now you're going to stagger the legs. It's your left foot coming behind you. Arms come out, prepare with an inhale. And as you exhale, pull that tummy in tight, drive that left knee up into your chest and balance. The left foot flexes flat. Standing knee is soft. Leaning back, hips thrust forward. Begin to hinge forward, belly pulls up into your body. Airplane. balance. Standing knee bends as you touch down, V for victory. And again, I wanted you to see that I've got some width between my feet. Breathing, tummy pulled in nice and tight. And hinging forward, finding those blocks for balance sake. So you can take that back knee and tuck that back knee in narrow. So take that back knee, twist it, tuck it in. And as you set it down, you want to feel the outer left kneecap touch down first. And this is where you might tuck that blanket underneath the knee because the floor can be kind of hard. You want to feel the pinky toe side of the knee, the outer left kneecap touch down. And take that front foot, wiggle it across. Don't be shy about using your mobility aids here. And you're going to shift in, and out. And again, some of you weren't strength training with me this week. This is no big deal for you. For me, I need to pulse in and out a few times. Notice I've got this front foot flexed. I'm on the pinky toe blade edge of the foot here. Toe is not pointed. The foot is flexed. Kind of karate foot. Pulsing in and out, warming up that hip, and then eventually coming on down for a landing, perhaps. The front view looks like this. I want you to see that this shin is approaching the front edge of the mat. Shin is more or less parallel, and the foot is flexed flat as I set that down. So that's what the front view looks like. You stay there. Side profile view. More or less like that. Back knee tucked in nice and narrow, padding underneath the back knee as you want. And you're coming on down for your pigeon pose. And you are supporting that floating hip. Customizing that support as you come down into that pigeon. Doing your best to keep breathing. So that back knee is tucked in nice and narrow. You're going to start turning. I'm going to climb up here. Start turning your chest towards the front knee. Turning your chest towards the front knee, freeing up an arm. Do some shoulder circles here. Twisting. The more you twist, the easier it is to eventually reach back and touch that foot. So work on rotating, twisting, and then eventually grab a hold of that foot. Heel to butt. Quadricep stretch. Now, some of you can get down quite close to the floor here, maybe bringing an elbow down, going into a deeper twist, deeper quadricep stretch. You do you. And then release. All right. Downward facing dog. So if ever yoga gets too easy for you, it's not a challenge anymore. Think about picking up some weights and putting them down, and picking them up and putting them down, picking them up and putting them down. That will definitely get you reacquainted with some muscles. Tighten them up a bit so that yoga becomes challenging for you once again. All right, from this downward facing dog, you're going to come on down to hands and knees. Again, the floor might be hard, so you might consider putting a pillow underneath those knees. Hands and knees, toes curled under for that added foot stretch. Inhale, lift your head and tail up. And exhale, round your back. Cat and cow. Inhale, head and tail up. And exhale, round. So as you're moving back and forth through cat and cow, observe that you are tilting your pelvis one way and then tilting your pelvis the other. But the distance between your hip bones and the floor doesn't really change much. Or maybe the distance from the top of your thigh bones and the floor doesn't really change much. What do I mean by that? Okay, well, we're going to come to neutral. If you have a block, you can put a nice foamy block across your hips. Your challenge is to keep that foamy block from falling off your hips. If you're doing a wooden block, no, I don't recommend that because those can fall and that's not fun. But if you have a foam block, you can put it across your hips. And your challenge is to keep that foam block from falling off your hips as you shift your weight over onto one side, doesn't matter which, and pick the knee up and circle the knee around. So you are not a dog at the fire hydrant. You're not really cocking your hips to one side, but you are circling the thigh bone around in the hip joint. You keep your hips level. And it might be a small circle initially, but then as things start to loosen up, that circle gets a little bit larger. Level hips if you can. And go the other way. Working on those level hips as best you can. And set that one down. Shift to the other side. Circle around. And that gets a little bit larger. And then reverse it. Keep breathing. And set that down. All right, toes point backwards and remove that block as you sit back and stretch the top sides of your feet. I'm going to move my pillow out of the way. You might have those blocks handy. Shift your weight to one side, heel up one knee. Feel the dorsum of the foot stretch, the top side of the foot stretch. And then shift to the other side, heel up the other knee. And shift and peel. Breathe. And shift and peel and breathe. And set it back down. Toes curl under. All 10 toes. Make sure those little piggies are curled under as well. Couple of blocks for balance. Now lift those knees up. Good, kind of combining things here. Taking one knee out to the side. And then bring it back in. And then take the other knee out to the side. And bring it back in. I'm going to do this facing you. Knee out to the side. And bring it back in. And knee out to the side. And bring it back in. And now, knee out to the side. And bring it back in. And other knee out to the side. And bring it back in. Shifting forward, set your knees down, point your toes back behind you. We've been here just a moment ago. Shift off to one side, peel up a knee, take it out to the side. Funky, huh? And shift over. Peel up the other knee, turn it out, and set it down. And I'm using the blocks because my arms aren't long enough. Shift over to one side, peel up, take it out, set it down, peel it up, take it out, and strut it down. And you're going to get to a point where you want to curl your toes under, and that's what you're going to do this next time. Shift over, curl those toes under, and maybe the heel comes down too, maybe not. And then can you shift it over? And pick up the other foot and curl those toes under. Maybe the heel comes down, maybe it doesn't. We are approaching a squat. And take those feet wider. Only as wide as you need to take them to get your heels down. And I'm using those blocks. Eventually, you're going to end up here. Toes out to the sides, knees pointing out to the sides, heels down. If your heels are still floating, you can put your heels on a couch cushion, a folded up yoga mat, whatever you have available to you. You can even put your heels on the edges of blocks. We're going to kappa squat. Heels on something, toes and knees pointing out to the sides, shoulders down. And those blocks there definitely as mobility aids to help you get into this deep squat. And breathe. Squatting is one of the best things you can do for your hip mobility, your knees, your ankles. We do a lot of squats. Blocks always handy. Because from here, again, toes and knees pointing out to the side. I got a couple of blocks. I'm going to shift forward. Hands find something so that I can lift my hips up. And then come back down. It's easier each time you do this. Shift your weight forward, hands find something, knees go wide as you lift your hips up. And then bend. Easier each and every time you do it. Shifting weight forward, knees go wide. I'm using my elbows to push those knees wide as I lift those hips up. And come on down. Couple more times. Toes and knees turned out to the maximum, out to the side. Heels are down on something. As I shift my chest forward, I push those knees out. Lift those hips up. Hands are always touching something here. Can you relax your toes? About two more, just like that. Knees wide, hips up. And done. Last time, I promise. Knees wide, hips up. And then you can heel toe wiggle your feet in nice and narrow. Turn your blocks up to that nice high level. And breathe. And bend one knee. Let me show you this. And then the other. And now you're letting your hips slosh side to side. Bend one knee, then the other. Hands on blocks or whatever you need your hands to be on. So we stretched out those hamstrings a fair amount, started to get into those hips. Now you might start to feel this in that outer hip, lower back area. You do want your hips on enough height so that you can control this. Turn sideways so you can see I'm bending one knee, then the other. If I were to have a block on my hips, it would slide off one side and then it would slide off the other. My hips are no longer level. This is where you're starting to feel it around that sacrum, that tailbone area, low back. The tag in the back of your pants is getting a good stretch. And then let's come on down to the floor. You come lie on your tummy. Padding goes across the front hip bones. So where that seat belt goes, that's where your padding is going to go. Across those front hip bones as you lie down on the floor. So we're starting to loosen up some of those muscle attachments here. We did some of that loosening in the squat. We did a little bit on our prance that we were just doing. Want to be aware of this lower back tailbone tag in the back of the pants region. Toes curl under. You're going to shimmy your legs nice and narrow. Get your legs all the way together. And then staple your knees together so both knees are turning in. Staple your kneecaps together. Hello, chicken. She knows exactly where I'm targeting. Right there, she's going to give me a lower back massage. Keep those knees zip tied together as you bend at the knees and let those heels separate. You might shimmy a little bit. Make sure those knees are tucked in nice and narrow, kneecaps kissing, heels separate. And you're going to feel that stretch across that lower back. Yes. Breathe. This one sneaks up on you. First couple breaths are no big deal. But if you take nice, deep, low belly breaths, you begin to feel that lower back massage with each and every breath. My chicken is giving me shiatsu massage. And breathe. All right, so this is all preparation. We want to feel those muscles in the lower back really spreading out. So your knees are turned in, your kneecaps are pointing towards one another. You're going to take that right leg and just drop that right leg down. So the outer stripe on that right pant leg is tucked in underneath your body. Your lower back is spread out. So that right leg just stretched out. My right big toe's turned in. I'm going to take the left leg and flip it the other way. Thought we were practicing that. Just flip it the other way. And you can reach down and hike it out to the side, hike it up towards your shoulder. So I've got the right leg turned in and the left leg is turned out. Here's the challenge. Can you lift and lower that left heel? Lift and lower the left heel. Hip mobility. Lift and lower. Isn't that funky? How's that working out for you? Just lift and lower that a few times. And then finally, you're going to lift it up and hover, and hover, and hover. And maybe circle that ankle around in midair. Oh, hello, hips. Circle and hover. It's going to fatigue real fast. And then you can relax it. And magic, you can reach out and take that knee out wider and maybe even hike it up a little closer to your shoulder and let it be there. And breathe. Now, I'm going to leave the lower body as is. And I'm just going to mess around with your shoulders a little bit. Let that lower body kind of melt into it. Arms go out to your sides. Goalpost arms. You can turn your head towards the bent knee or away. It doesn't really matter. Just look at whatever's happening here first. So you're going to do one arm at a time. Got your arms out like goalposts. And just like you did with this ankle a moment ago, you're going to do it with the hands. So you're going to lift the back of your hand. And you might not go very far. Try lifting that wrist off the ground. And again, it might not go very far at all. And set it down. Lift the wrist up. And set it down. I recommend one hand at a time because it's a lot to focus on if you've not done this before. And set it down. And lift. And lower. Can you detach the wrist from your butt? Let go of your butt. And lift that wrist up, the back of the hand up, and set it down without squeezing your butt. And just to make it even, let's do the other side. So lift the back of your hand, the wrist up, and set it down. Again, it doesn't matter which way you're turning your head. You might want to look at it. You might want to look away. It's up to you. Play with it. Just rotating. Shoulder mobility here. And again, check in with your butt. Your challenge is to keep that lower body nice and relaxed as you lift and lower. And let it all go. All right, hands come back underneath your shoulders. You're going to do a little push up with the upper body. Yeah. The arm opposite the bent knee is going to go underneath. The arm opposite the bent knee goes underneath. You're lying on that shoulder. Your hands come together. I'm going to take that top arm across the sky like a rainbow and roll this into a twist. Lovely twist. And you're going to do your best to breathe. That hand that just swept across the sky like a rainbow, that hand can come to your ribs, and you can encourage your rib cage to rotate a little bit more. And you keep breathing. And then reset. Let's come back to center. Can you remember that whole thing for the other side? I think I can. You're going to roll back onto your tummy. You're going to reset and curl your toes under. You're going to shimmy your legs narrow. Try getting the kneecaps to kiss. Bring your thighs together nice and tight. Keep your kneecaps zip tied together. As you bend at the knees, let your heels go wide. So it looks like a whale tail. You might shimmy a little bit here. Really zip tie those thighs together. Get your kneecaps to point at one another. And then settle in. Feel that spread across your lower back. So right now, both inner thighs are turning in towards one another. They are inwardly rotating. Your lower back is spreading. The stripes on the outsides of your pant legs are turned down towards the floor. I know right and left is kind of confusing, but from here, you're going to straighten that left leg. So we're doing the other side. That left leg straightens. And you end up with your left big toe pointing towards the middle of the mat. And the stripe on the outside of that left pant leg is down on the floor. So that left leg is inwardly rotating. And now, using your hip mobility, you're going to take that right leg and hike it out to the side. Take that right leg, hike it out to the side. That right leg is outwardly rotated. Left leg is inwardly rotated. Make your upper body comfortable. And now here's the challenge. Can you lift and lower that right ankle? Sometimes it helps to look at it. Sometimes it helps to look away, whatever helps you focus. And access those muscles. Because this isn't something you do every day. Sometimes getting the motor pathways to work is a bit of a challenge. Figuring out this one. Lifting and lowering the ankle. And then finally lift and hover and hold. You might circle around a little bit. So I'm just kind of circling the ankle in space. It's weird, I know. Not something you do all the time. Can you circle that ankle in space and relax your butt? What? Can you circle that ankle in space and keep this lower back relaxed? Weird, I know. You circle that ankle in space and let the straight leg be completely limp. Straight leg doing nothing. And then set it down because that fatigues quickly. And now you can hike that knee out a little wider to the side and hike it up a little closer to your shoulder. And now we just let it marinate. Let it sit there. Arms out to the sides. Again, I don't care which way you turn your head, one way or the other, whatever works best for your neck. Locate arms, position your arms so elbows are level with your shoulders. You got goalpost arms. You're going to lift and lower the back of one hand. Lift and lower a wrist up. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Like you're a puppet and you've been spilled out nice and limp on the floor and there's a string on the back of your wrist. Your elbow is pinned to the floor, but the wrist is being lifted and then dropped. And when you've done about 8 on one wrist, you're going to switch sides and do the other. So lift and lower. Try getting the wrist off the floor. Not just the back of the hand, but the entire wrist. The rotator cuff. Shoulder muscles you don't usually use. And then check in with your butt. Again, the challenge was just to move the wrist. Can you relax your butt? You want that spread across that lower back to still be happening. You want those hips melting into the floor. You're doing this thing with the wrist, and you're letting that lower body relax. And when you've tapped out here, when you've done about 8 of these, when you've had enough of this, you're going to bring those hands underneath your shoulders. You're going to do a little half push up. Take the arm opposite the back knee, bent knee. Arm opposite the bent knee goes underneath your body. And stack one on top of the other. Top hand comes across the sky like a rainbow, and you roll into a twist. The hand that just swept across the sky like a rainbow comes to your ribs, and you encourage that rib cage to rotate. And you breathe. From here, you get to roll over onto your back. All the way over onto your back. And you have your pillow, your couch cushion, and all your fun stuff available. You can put your pillow back underneath your head. Knees bent, feet flat. Center yourself out on the mat. You're going to bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest. Give those knees a good hug. Walk your hips away from your shoulders. Really spread that lower back out on the floor. You did a fair amount to stretch out that lower back, so hopefully it does come down to the floor pretty easy. With one hand on each knee, you're going to circle or butterfly those legs. Open, shut them, open, shut them. Give a little clap, clap, clap in slow motion, I guess. Circle around one way and then circle around the other. Feel that lower back, that tag in the back of your pants, almost suction cupped to the floor, nicely spread out. Worked a fair amount on the hip mobility. So now you can run your hands through the inside of your legs and turn this into a happy baby. Holding onto the inside arch side of the foot, maybe the inside of the legs, or maybe taking your peace fingers around your big toes. Happy baby. Keeping that sacrum, the tag in the back of your pants, in connection with the floor, even as you rock side to side. So a really deep, low, low, low back massage here as you rock side to side. Hips are heavy. You can play around with turning this into a bit of a Peter Pan. Okay, maybe you're holding on to the inside of the leg. Peter Pan on the other side. And then eventually bringing the bottoms of your feet together, wrapping your hands around the pinky toe sides of your feet, hugging everything in close to your body. Shoulders are shrugged down away from your ears. You have a nice, long, elegant neck. Trying to pull those shoulder blades down into the floor. Let your chest pop up as you pull your shoulder blades down. Shoulders down into the floor and down away from your ears. And then relax that effort. Bring your knees together, setting your feet down. Knees are together, feet go wide. So like we did before, we were lying on our tummy. Kneecaps turn in, heels go wide. So kneecaps together, heels go wide. Toes can turn in, heels go wide. Feel that lower back spread out on the floor. Arms open out to your sides. You can hitchhike your shoulders underneath. Shoulders down away from your ears, shoulder blades down onto the floor. Shoulders down away from your ears, shoulder blades down on the floor. Chest pops up a little bit, perhaps. And then finding those front ribs as you exhale, tuck those front ribs in. Again, nice deep belly breath. And as you exhale, tuck those front ribs in. Each and every inhale is a chance to expand your chest, your belly. And each and every exhale is a chance to tuck those front ribs in, almost like you're getting tickled in this position. Two more breaths like that. Big belly breath. Exhaling, tucking those front ribs in. Now keep those front ribs tucked in, those back ribs making as much contact with the floor as possible as you stretch one leg out, as you stretch the other leg out. Your inner thighs are racing down towards the floor as you stretch your legs out. Your legs are still inwardly rotated. Your kneecaps are still turned towards one another. And you still have your front ribs tucked into your back ribs. And then when you do hit the floor, you can relax your feet. Just let those feet flop open. And settle in. Let your palms shine towards the ceiling. Find your thumbs. You're going to rotate your arms, tuck those shoulder blades underneath, and dive your thumbs down towards the floor like you're hitchhiking. Twist those arms and dive those thumbs down towards the floor like you're hitchhiking. Check in with those front ribs, tuck in those front ribs, activate your abs a little bit. You're going to bend at your elbows and reach your arms out into a giant X. Feel how flat you are on the ground. And then relax. All right, pick a side, any side. You get to roll on over. And continue rolling on over to sit. Time flies when you're having fun. And it has been very fun for me. Shoulders shrug up, back and down. Palms come together at your heart. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.